Hello everyone, Jose here at Joy of Fish Keeping. I came home from work and I saw this Odessa barb with the red line running along the body, and this particular one had a lot of these white spots. Now, was this Epistylis or was it ick? Now, the other one in the center of the screen right now, soon after I recorded this, he died. Hopefully in this video I can show you how to quickly spot the differences between the two. These few photos are stock photos of fish with Epistylis. Most of us in fish keeping, we have had ick at some point along. One of the differences is that these are raised stuff. This is under microscope. So Epistylis will be more this fuzzy raised fuzz, whereas ick tend to be flat, even, rounded shape. This is one of the Odessa barbs in my tank. I have a fairly large group of Odessa barbs there, and a bunch of them were showing the white spot. They seem to have been the one that were most affected. And also this albino bristlenose pleco. You notice that he has some reddish area, some reddish line there. There's probably some type of hemorrhagic disease. A lot of the time Epistylis can occur on top of a bacterial infection as a secondary infection. This tank has a 60-gallon cube that I've had for a long time. It has been a very stable tank for a long time. I keep, other than the large angel and two geophagus that are there, Sveni. This mostly small breeds, and they're kind of a busy tank, and it's always very stable, no major issues with this tank ever. I've not had any new fish. I quarantine everything. I am on the camp of quarantine everything that comes in, including plants, or treat the plants, not necessarily quarantine them, but also treat it. Some people don't like to quarantine. I think it's an important thing to do. When you let your guards down, it will happen. It's still Epistylis. So you can have Epistylis around the eyes sometimes, whereas ick does not occur on the eyes. Most times you can easily treat ick, and it generally will not kill the fish. Epistylis, however, it can do it. Now, these fish are hiding here. The Odessa barbs are usually all over the place, and any fish that is hiding and out of the way, there's usually a problem. So whenever I see that kind of behavior, you see a change of behavior in your fish, look for the trouble, because something is going on. If it's not a sign of aggression, there's disease. Most of them have some spot. Those two that I showed you earlier were really more overwhelming. And on the bottom here, the snakeskin barb that you see on the right hand corner, a couple of them also had little spots, but not as much. It seems that it was mostly the barbs, bristlenose, and the snakeskin barb had a couple of them. I had seen before a video from Everyday Fish Keeping a while back, and where he discussed he thought it was ick. He was treating it as ick, and then he later found a very good article that I will include in the description about Epistylis. None of the other fish had it. So just knowing that, I did not want to waste time with trying to treat ick when it was obvious, very different from the ick I have seen. Now, since this tank has been very stable, it is highly unusual that you suddenly gotta get out of nowhere ick. And how did this come about when I have not added any fish at least? So some of the Anubias that are on the right lower end there, some of them were new. Some of the other ones were looking not so great, and I replaced some of them. Now I just got a little bit lax, and I said, oh, they were fine. Probably nothing was going to happen. And then I did not treat them as usual. I usually use 1 part bleach to 19 parts water and treat it for about 2 minutes. This is something that you find generally that seems to be the agreeable thing online for treatment, for sterilizing your plants as they come. Most plants can handle the bleach, but Vallisneria and other sensitive plants may not do well with the bleach. I decided not to treat the plants and just put them, after rinsing them, just putting them in the tank. 2 days later, I had the outbreak of what seems to have been Epistylis, which responded very well to treatment. The bleach will take care of most pathogens, snails that may be coming along for the ride. Now, one of the things with the Epistylis is that it does feed on bacteria, and most of the time columnaris is one of the bacteria that will cause this hemorrhagic problem, as you saw in the pleco before. Columnaris can wipe out your tank very quickly, and it does kill quickly. I use generally my go-to medications during quarantine. And also anytime I see anything wrong, I use this trio, which includes kanamycin, which will work well for Epistylis, and also for columnaris. I use the trio that includes metronidazole, kanamycin, and nitrofurazone. It comes combined together, and these three medications together, sometimes they call them a wonder drug, wonder cure, because together they reinforce each other. I get them from a particular company. You can leave me a message if you like, and I can tell you where I get it from. And again, as I often say, I'm not sponsored by anybody or any company. I have found that these products work very well, but that particular trio, you can get it from other sources too. I have seen it. I chose this particular company based on a recommendation prior, and I use some of their products anyway. One day after treatment, the ones that you saw that was very badly, not the one that was dying or died, but the one that had the most spots, it was all gone the next day, and nobody else has had anything else. Today, as I'm recording, was the last day of treatment for it, and I'll just follow the usual water changes after. So basically, in conclusion, the article goes very much in depth about Epistylis, and it goes into a lot more detail that I care to give you at this point here, but at least this is an introduction. If you have not encountered Epistylis before, it was more as a little bit of an introduction, how I dealt with it very effectively and very quickly. I just did not waste time, and you can get more details with that article if you like to. But I think what the take home from this message is, don't let your guards down and quarantine. If you do it all the time, just continue doing whatever you do that works for you. I am very careful, maybe a little bit more obsessive about quarantining. I do quarantine in general for 6 weeks, and the first thing that I generally do is treat something for parasitic infection external, which is just a one-day treatment. I like to use flubendazole. Then I follow it up with that trio, and then I also will use medicated food for internal parasites. Just to shorten the quarantine time, I will treat for internal parasites by oral medications, medicated flakes I use, and then just read the water column for the other things. And so far, that quarantine method that I've used has worked, and I'll continue using that, and just being cautious with plants. Some of the more sensitive plants, there are other methods that you can use to minimize the possibility of bringing any Trojan horses to your tank. Thank you so much, and I hope this was helpful to you. At least it set off a little alarm when you see white spots that is not necessarily ick, especially when it comes out of nowhere suddenly.